Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the unique cultural phenomenon emerged between the 3rd to the 6th century AD in China, which was often referred as the Weijin Fengdu or the Weijin style. After the collapse of the Han Dynasty, the three kingdoms of Shu, Wei, and Wu was established by 220 AD. Then it was nearly 60 years of constant fighting among the three kingdoms. When Sima Yan finally conquered all the former Han territory and established the Jin dynasty in 280 AD, many of the scholars thought the peace would finally be achieved. However, the royal Sima family seemed being cursed. One after another, they got crazier and crazier, eventually led to the so-called 八王之乱, or the riot of the 8 princes, which lasted 16 years. During these 16 years, the Sima princes constantly plotting, fighting, and killing each other. Around 300 AD, many nomadic tribes from the west, north, and east migrated to the central plain along the Yellow River and mixed with the Han Chinese. By 311, a Hun general named Liu Chong sacked the Jin capital Luoyang. The reason that he had a Chinese name was that one of his female ancestors was a Han Dynasty princess. This is a rather complicated story. If you're interested, I can post the story in the community page. So please let me know in the comment section if you're interested. Liu Chong captured the Jin Emperor Sima Chi, slaughtered all the royal family members. More than 30,000 people at the capital were killed. Many of the aristocrats fled from the north to the south. This was one of the first recorded large-scale migration in Chinese history known as 永嘉衣冠南渡, or the aristocrats' southbound migration during the Yongjia reign. It is estimated at least 2 million people migrated from the Yellow River Plain to the region along the Yangtze River. Many of the remaining Chinese people were either killed or enslaved by the nomadic armies. This is the end of the Western Jin dynasty. Here are two maps of the Western Jin and the Eastern Jin. As you can see, the Jin Empire lost more than half of its territory. Fortunate for the Jin royal family that there were still distant branches of the Sima family survived. In 317, a distant cousin of the Emperor Sima Chi named Sima Rui assumed the throne at Jiankang, located in today's Nanjing, and the Eastern Jin began. By this time, the northern part of the Han Empire was occupied by different ethnic groups. From 304 AD to 439 AD, there were 16 kingdoms rose and fell. Here is a map around 400 AD showing some of the kingdoms in the north. In 383 AD, a general named Fu Jian, the king of Qin, who united the northern part of the Han Empire, massed over 300,000 strong army to attack the Eastern Jin dynasty, intending to conquer the remaining territory to the south. However, they met with a strong resistance. With less than 70,000 men, the Jin generals Xie An and Xie Xuan defeated Fu Jian's army. This is the famous Fei Shui 之战, or the battle by the Fei River. After this battle, the northern Qin kingdom fell apart again. It was not until an ethnic group named Tuoba united the northern part of China and established the northern Wei dynasty in 398. This was the kingdom the alleged female hero Mulan served. I made 2 videos about her. Here's the link to the first video. The transition from the Han Dynasty to the Three Kingdom period and then to the Jin Dynasty also witnessed a huge philosophical transition. Ever since the early days of the Han Dynasty, Confucian ideology gradually increased its influence. By the middle of the 4th century BCE, it had become the state ideology. Confucian scholars not only obtained the support from most of the emperors, but also held most of the high-ranked positions at the court. However, around the second half of the 2nd century AD, the Confucian ideology was already bankrupt. I might make a video about the rise and fall of the Confucian ideology during the 400 years of the Han Dynasty in the future. It is a fascinating story. Let me know if you're interested. Towards the end of the Han Dynasty, the Confucian scholar officials had lost their grip on power. The court was first usurped by a bunch of eunuchs, and then controlled by the relatives of the emperor, and eventually by the various warlords. Many of the Confucian scholars were either killed during the court conflicts or retreated from the politics altogether. One of the most famous Confucian scholar official was Wang Yun, who held the position of premier for the last Han Emperor Liu Xie, and was killed by a warlord in 192 AD. We can take this as the end of the Confucian state ideology. The Confucian state ideology was not fully re-established until nearly 500 years later, when the famous Empress Wu Zetian usurped the power during the Tang Dynasty. Now, let's go back to the Three Kingdom period. When Cao Cao got hold of the emperor and became the real emperor behind the scene in 195 AD, the Confucian ideology was completely abandoned. This was reflected in the decrees Cao Cao issued for recruiting talents. As I presented in my video about Cao Cao, he didn't even keep the rhetoric of Confucian values. That is, the society should be governed by virtuous persons. I made a video explaining the Confucian views about how to create a social order by virtues of Confucian scholar officials. Here's the link. By abandoning the Confucian ideology, Cao Cao and the officials during and after his time tended to brutal force to control the society. To illustrate the intellectual impacts of the bankruptcy of Confucian ideology, I would like to also mention another tradition that was fully established during the Han Dynasty. That is, the state-sponsored academies and the private academies. Many ambitious young men, especially the sons of aristocrats and high-ranked officials, they were often from the same group of people, studied in either the state-sponsored or private academies. They had a lot of resources and time to spend on intellectual pursuit. When Confucianism lost its influence or when politics became too risky, many of these young scholars turned to Taoism and Buddhism. This was the beginning of something we might call it the Chinese New Age movement. These young aristocrats turned to alcohol, drugs, music, poetry, and philosophy to find new meanings for their lives. I'm definitely making a video about them and their philosophies and poetry in the future. I even thought up a title for the video: The Crazy Philosophers of a Crazier Time. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about classical Chinese poetry, philosophy, and medical texts. If you like the content of my video, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to learn more about them, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.